Regardless of whether a person is a malignant narcissist or not, the reality is that if they have narcissistic traits, those traits affect you in relationships. And so in this video, what we want to do is learn how to go from enabling to immunity. So let's dive in. For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a survivor myself of narcissistic abuse. I'm now a trauma-informed coach. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner, and I'm the founder of the School of Transformation, where survivors of emotional abuse or emotional trauma from all over the world meet together live on Zoom, and we do the healing work together. I will leave the link here as well as in the description below for anyone that's interested. Narcissists are going to continue to be narcissists. When they gaslight you, enabling looks like trying to convince them of your reality, because that's one of the motives of gaslighting. Narcissists want to control your reality. And so when you get sucked into a conversation or a discussion, debate about what really happened, and you're trying to convince them, and you feel very unsettled unless or until you convince them, you're enabling them to continue to play with your hold on reality. If someone told me, Michele, you have 2 heads, or Michele, you have purple skin, I'm not going to spend an hour trying to convince them of my skin color or how many heads I have. In fact, if I did, and especially if I did so very heated, almost with desperation, it would really look as if I didn't, or I wasn't sure of how I saw myself. And so that's kind of a drastic way of pointing it, but in a way, that's what happens with gaslighting. The more we are desperately trying to convince them of our reality, the more our actions are saying, I need you to confirm and stay on the same page as me for me to hold on to me. Now, I don't want to minimize the reality of the fact that it's normal to want people to see your perception. It is normal when you're having a discussion to listen to the other person's perspective and to want to have your perspective heard. But again, we have to recognize that narcissists are not healthy people. So trying to employ healthy relationship tactics with somebody that is not healthy is only going to exasperate you. So then what does immunity look like when it comes to gaslighting? Doesn't mean that somebody that's immune to narcissists and narcissistic tactics is never gaslit. It just means that when they don't get sucked into the fighting rink with the narcissist because they are so secure with their own reality. So some examples. Narcissists love to rewrite history, right? So when a narcissistic family member is rewriting what happened and making it like your reality didn't exist, somebody that's immune is going to do one of 2 things. They're either going to say one line like, I remember things differently. Now, when the narcissist tries to push and push and push and pull out of you what you remember, they're not going to go there. They're going to say something like, doesn't matter, so I'm not interested in revisiting it. I just remember things differently. That's it. They're not going to give anything else. Or they're going to strategically just change the subject by saying something like, that happened so long ago. I don't even think about that anymore. Have you guys heard about this? Or have you seen this movie? Or whatever it is. The point is that they're not even going to have an interest in convincing the narcissist or anyone else of what happened because they already know. They are convinced and they don't need anyone else's validation to hold on to their reality. Another tool that narcissists love to employ is the silent treatment. They love to punish you when you do something that they don't appreciate. And they withdraw all love, all support. What does it look like to go from enabling when they do this to immunity? Now, I want to first stress that when a narcissist is punishing you with the silent treatment, they are really hooking into your unhealed wounds. Basically, painful beliefs like I am unworthy and I am unlovable. And so when you act out of line to a narcissist, they're going to do everything they can to kind of turn up the pain of those beliefs. I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm worthless, I don't deserve. And so that's basically what is happening when they give you the silent treatment. Your unhealed wounds are getting turned on in your body. And it is painful. It is overwhelming. Trust me, I know, I've been there. To me, it felt like I was the living dead when it came to the silent treatment, and it felt like intense emotional torture. And so we wind up accidentally enabling the narcissist by not even noticing how wrong and bad that behavior is. Now, this is hard to say. I'm trying to explain this because we do notice that that's wrong, but the pain of the painful beliefs is so painful that rather than staying focused on the fact that that behavior and what they're doing is so wrong, we are seeking alleviation from that pain. And we're seeking for them to stop the punishment so that we can feel better. And we are not realizing that we have the power to do that for ourselves. And so we enable by staying in those painful beliefs unconsciously, right? We're not doing it willingly. We're not doing it on purpose. We don't realize what we're doing. I know I didn't. I was completely unconscious when I was doing that. But we're seeking them to help us to feel better by ending the punishment. So what does immunity look like? Does it mean the narcissist no longer gives you the silent treatment? No. When they give you the silent treatment, though, you no longer feel tortured. Now, I know when I first learned this, I was like, how am I not going to feel tortured when their behavior is like that? But you really do get to that place where they're them. We don't like it. No one likes the silent treatment. No one thinks it's good, right? No one appreciates it. But it also no longer has the power to make you feel unworthy, unlovable, undeserving. It no longer makes you feel punished. And that being said, let's shift into how we get to that place of immunity, because all that sounds nice. And I remember when I first learned it, I was like, really? Like, I'm going to be able to not feel that? I'm going to be able to? Like, how on earth do I get to that place? Well, let's get into that part. Okay, so let's shift into my favorite part of this video, which is all about, okay, what do we do, right? That makes sense, Michele. There's a difference between enabling and being immune to narcissists. How do I become immune? So let me share with you 3 tips that can help. Tip number 1 is about upgrading your belief system or your self-image. Narcissists can infiltrate people that have a belief system that can be predisposed to falling for their tactics and getting sucked into relationships with them. That's a huge difference between people that are immune and people that wind up enabling. They have different belief systems. I view narcissists like people that are trying to plant malware in somebody's computer program. They look for weaknesses in the software in order to plant their viruses. Now, a narcissist will do that. They will find people with a belief system that is susceptible to them. So if we change our belief system, then we are helping ourselves to become immune. In other words, it's not about memorizing everything about them and doing our best to avoid them, because that's impossible. But when we change our belief system, we make sure that our subconscious programs, our softwares are not infiltrated by their toxic behaviors. Tip number 2 is about learning how to not personalize what they are doing. Narcissists are going to be narcissists. They're not going to change, but we can change the meaning that we give their behaviors. Now, I remember when I learned this on an intellectual level, right? They call it the observe, don't absorb. And I would be like, I'm going to observe and not absorb. And I would be stifling what I was really feeling and pretending to not let it bother me. That's not real observe, don't absorb. Real observe, don't absorb is really changing the meaning. So the narcissist gives me the silent treatment. It used to mean to me on a subconscious level. I didn't even realize it. When I peeled it back and discovered what I was making it mean, I was almost in shock. But I had made it mean that meant, their behavior meant I was unlovable and I was bad. When I realized that, I was like, what? No, I don't believe that. Now, I'm sharing this with you because a lot of the meanings that you're going to uncover as you're healing are going to surprise you, because they're probably out of alignment with who you really are today, because they were established when you were a child. But the thing is that whatever meanings are stuck in our subconscious, while they're in our subconscious, we can't change them. And so changing the meaning and being able to observe without absorbing is first about learning what meaning you're making it that makes it painful. And once you can do that, now you have a choice. The brain can choose to agree or it can change the meaning. And so the meaning that I chose to make the silent treatment was more in alignment with the adult I was, which was that is unkind, unloving behavior on their part. It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with the way they handle disappointment. And so because the meaning changed when, not if, when the narcissist gave me the silent treatment, it didn't touch me emotionally because it had nothing to do with me. And I believed that. It was a meaning. It was now a new upgraded subconscious belief in my nervous system. And the last tip that I'm going to mention today has to do with rewiring your nervous system. Because the reality is that if you had narcissistic relationships, whether in childhood or in your adult life or both, your nervous system is rewired to keep you safe. It's wired to keep you surviving, not enjoying life. For example, the things that it is wired to be allowed to do or to feel safe doing are things like isolation, disconnecting, dissociating, being numb, being in a trauma response of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. But when we go to do the things that allow us to live life and be excited and happy and have joy, it feels uncomfortable in our nervous system because the nervous system is not wired to be allowed or to feel allowed to do that. And so there's a whole rewiring process that needs to take place. That being said, I'm giving you these 3 tips, but I want to be realistic. Like, these things take time. Upgrading your beliefs, changing your subconscious programs, learning to embody what you learn through videos takes time and it takes support. So if you're interested in an affordable yet profound transformational resource, make sure you check out those links.